Welcome to episode 61 of the Guitar Builders Basics video podcast. Luthier's tips, tricks and training from me, Ben Crow, at Crimson Guitars in the UK. The news is pretty much the same. Okay, let me put this a better way. Thank you very, very, very much. A week ago now, we were really struggling upstairs. As you know, we make tools and Luthier's jigs and the like. And the Christmas orders began, and we weren't really expecting quite so many. Last year was our first year actually selling the tools that we make, and it was a slight bump, but nothing too much. This year turned out to be a little bit crazy. And I said on the podcast, hey, well, they're really, really busy. So here's a 20% coupon. And you guys embraced, you definitely embraced the chance to get some money off of our tools. And thank you very much. I'm now fully expecting a massive dip in sales over the next couple of months. But, well, there we have it. The coupon code is no longer valid. It's all done, all over. And we still have a heck of a lot of orders that have to be fulfilled. I've had to spend some time this week going off and buying supplies and timber and files, and it's been absolutely crazy. But anyway, so thank you for your support. I really, really do appreciate that. And coming into Christmas, it's, doubly appreciated. Now, if you ordered something, it is in progress, and we're pulling out our hair to achieve it. Anyhow, as I said yesterday, today's podcast is all about stain. Now, here is a question from DC Guitars on YouTube. He says, I would love to know how PRS do their stain fades for one of my builds. In particular, I would like to know how they do their sandstorm fade. Thank you. Love the work, Ben. Keep it up. Now, there are several ways to get a nice even stain across a guitar. And I'm no expert. I really struggled for the first 4 or 5 years of my career to find a stain that gave an even result across the whole, different grain types and end grain and that, because end grain sucks in more stain and ends up being blotchy and darker. And so I was very, very lucky. I found an incredibly toxic but reliable solution, and that is something called I've forgotten the name. Candy colors. I had 3 hours sleep last night. I'm slightly wired. Then again, Tom has just handed me a coffee, and the smell is sort of keeping me going for now. Back on track. Candy colors. Essentially, when a car manufacturer or a car paint manufacturer is mixing the color that you want for your Voxel Viva or whatever the hell it is, if you've got a sparkle black jazz, whatever they call it, that actually is mixed by a number of smaller companies to a very specific recipe. And they've got a load of dyes and tints called candy colors that their recipe will say, oh, you need 2 grams of this and 3 grams of that and 50 grams of the base, and you end up with half a litre of paint, which is enough to cover 4 meters square or whatever it happens to be. And it turns out that if you buy the candy color raw and apply it as a stain, it's amazing. It is toxic as all hell, but it does give you a very, very nice finish. So, for example, this is the sigil. This guitar's just been sold, and I've actually just I'm in the middle of refinishing the neck, but I've reshaped the neck to have a V shape up at the top going down to a C carve here for the client, and there will be a video of that coming out soon, actually. But anyway, this stain is a candy colour. In fact, it's a mixture of two candy colours. I put a little bit of black underneath it, followed by red over the top, after rubbing down the black. And it works really, really well. I don't have any other stained guitars around, so can't show you anymore. However, okay, so basic technique, mask, gloves, I nearly said ear defenders, you don't need ear defenders for paint. When you're applying the stain, make a tool out of some tissue and make sure that you've got a substantial, fairly strong tissue. And you actually do want to make a tool. Fold it up so it's nice and strong and functional. Okay, now that's got hard edges, it's substantial, it will dissolve over time, but you start with that. Dip this into your stain, and what I do is I will apply the stain going across the grain. This is assuming that you're staining a flamed maple instrument. So you go with the flame, then get another piece of tissue and rub away the excess, okay? Because you don't want the excess there, that will create blotching. Now, the join line between your next attempt should disappear and it'll sort of meld in as you go. And if it doesn't, it will meld into the flames and it looks less obvious. Now, if you're doing it this way, it's much harder to hide if you leave it too long in between passes. So I will do the whole half of the guitar, clean it off, another half, and it takes about a minute to apply stain. And this is how I have seen documentaries of Fender applying their stains. In fact, I suspect that it is the same stuff I use. Now, there are other options, and I suppose because I'm now making these videos, I'm going to have to film and go and buy them and experiment and let you know. But for now, candy colour is my option. Now, DC Guitars, he asked about the Sandstorm Fade. And essentially what this is a bog standard PRS instrument. And it's one colour to there, and it fades into a lighter colour there. So this one in particular, it's sort of a topazy, honey brown type thing, going from really dark to really light, laterally, up the guitar, whatever. Now, what I suspect is that they have had no choice but to use an airbrush, and that is another way to apply the stain. They've used this system. There are two ways. They will either put a base coat on with this and make sure it's nice and smooth, and then they will put a second coat of spray on, just like you would spray a sunburst. So the darker hue will go onto the bottom half using an airbrush. Another option, and this is something for you if you don't have an airbrush, the other option is to put your base coat on, cover the whole guitar, and then get your second colour, which is a mix of, so you start with brown, you'll end up mixing that brown with some black perhaps to make the darker brown. Apply it with this again over the whole guitar, and it might even work better to apply the dark one first. Excuse me, as you can tell. Anyway, I'm not feeling very well. So you've got your two colours on, and then you manually go back with very fine sandpaper and actually rub away the excess. I don't think that's how PRS does it. I do think that is how you could do it yourself if you wanted. Do you know what? I have a guitar. Tom, could you pass me the Dissident from behind there? Yeah. Now, now this guitar is in the middle of, it's got a shellac, thank you very much. It's got a shellac undercoat. And I'm going to be spraying lacquer over this at some point in the not too distant future. This is a stock guitar if you want her. Padook neck, chestnut body. This particular piece of chestnut is just like swamp ash. It's amazing. Anyhow, with this guitar, an intern was playing with the staining and rubbing down and all of that. And what we did is we put a red underneath and a black over the whole top to see what effect it gave us. And in the end, he's actually rubbed the black away to give us this sunburst effect. So you can see it's a little bit too delineated for my taste. However, if I had done it, I could have evened the transition a bit better. So it is possible, and it's a way to get some interesting effects. And basically, that is how they do it. I've got nowhere to put this now. There we go. Thank you. So there we go. That is how I would suggest that PRS do it. Probably with an airbrush or a spray gun. And if you want to learn the technique for that, just Google how do I spray a sunburst. I'm sure there are many tutorials out on how to do that. But go and Google paint supplier, automotive parts suppliers. They're also very good if you're looking for high grade or high grit wet and dry papers, 2000s, 3000s, etc. It's a good place to know. And there are, I know of 2 within 15 miles of me, or 10 miles of me even, to be honest. So there we have it. If you have any questions or comments, or excuse me, or more importantly, a suggestion of a stain that is non-toxic that works really well, please let me know brand names and where to buy it, because I wanna. Particularly red. I like red. Alrighty. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been interesting. Now, obviously, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can see many other tutorials. This is the podcast, which is a weekly answer. 5 days a week I answer your questions, and but we also do full-on tutorials on how to build guitars, where I'm actually filming me doing stuff, and that's all good. Now, in tomorrow's, i.e. the next podcast, which will be on Monday now, I'm talking about designing a guitar and talking about weight distribution, which will be interesting. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Flickr and all of that. People are trying to get us back on Instagram. Instagram. Why should I crop my photo to a square? Craziness. Anyway, goodbye. Go away. Have an awesome weekend. I will be. Cheers.